Today, we're decoding a building in Belgium that's way more than just stone. It's a statement.
This church wasn't built just for prayer. It was built to convince.
It's a striking line, isn't it? I mean, it really stops you in your tracks.
It does. It feels aggressive. Usually, when we talk about old churches, we use words like peace or sanctuary.
Spirituality.
Exactly. But convincing, that sounds like a sales pitch.
Or an argument. A very, very loud argument made of stone. And that's exactly why we're starting there.
Okay.
Because today, we're kind of stripping away that tourist mode way of looking at buildings. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know it well. The checklist mode.
Yes.
You get off the bus, you take a selfie with the steeple, maybe buy a magnet, and then you're back on the bus.
Exactly. Travel as just transportation. But today, we're looking at it as more of an intellectual and emotional experience.
And we're doing this through the lens of a creator named Dana.
Right. She's a tourism graduate, an art lover, and she's put together this really fascinating framework she calls the City of Art, or Medinat al-Fin.
And to sort of prove her point, she gives us this really dramatic case study from Belgium, the Abbey the Abbey Church in Ninove.
Which, spoiler alert, is not just a pile of old stones, it's basically a psychological weapon.
It's a psychological weapon, I like that. So our mission today is to decode this weapon. We're going to explore Dana's philosophy and then walk through the doors of this church to see how it was, well, engineered to influence our emotions.
Let's dive in.
So I want to start with Dana herself because her background is really the filter for this whole deep dive. She studied tourism professionally.
Right.
But reading her notes, you get this palpable sense of maybe frustration with the status quo.
I'd call it dissatisfaction, yeah.
Yeah.
She asked this question that I think really hits home. Why must travel always be just moving from one place to another?
She's pushing back against travel as a product.
Precisely. She asks, why can't it be an experience that tells a story? And the difference between just sightseeing and feeling.
And that's where her City of Art concept comes in. Now, when I first read that, I thought she meant, a literal place.
Like, come visit the City of Art, we have great coffee.
Exactly. But that's not what she means.
No, she's talking about a mental space, a construct. She calls it a virtual city. But she's careful to say she doesn't mean like a video game.
No VR goggles here.
Right. She means virtual in the sense of essence. It's this intellectual space where four pillars collide. Art, nature, humanity, and memory.
So a city isn't concrete, it's the interaction between those things.
That's the idea. And what's interesting is she describes her work as a shared space. She actually asks her audience, what would you want in a city of art? Is it music? Is it quiet? Is it vibrant?
Which is such a profound question.
It is. It forces you to stop being a passive consumer.
Yeah.
And if you walk into a city asking, what does this place mean? Instead of, where's the nearest Starbucks? The architecture it changes.
You stop asking, how high is that tower?
And you start asking the more dangerous questions. You start asking, why did they build a tower at all? What were they trying to prove?
And that brings us perfectly to Ninove. Because the people who built the Abbey Church, they had a lot to prove.
They certainly did. So let's set the scene. Ninove. It's a city in East Flanders in Belgium. And Dana describes its spirit as free and critical.
Which is a nice way of saying they don't like being told what to do.
Historically, yes. A very strong identity. But to understand the church that's there now, we have to talk about the church that isn't there anymore.
The ghost church.
The ghost church, exactly. This is crucial. Originally on that exact spot, there was a Romanesque Gothic church.
Okay, can you paint a picture for us? Romanesque Gothic, what does that feel like?
Think heavy, thick stone walls, smaller windows. It's fortress-like, very grounded, solid, maybe a little ominous.
Okay, so that building stands for centuries. Then the 16th century happens.
And the 16th century is messy. It's the religious wars. The Protestant Reformation is tearing through Europe. And it wasn't a polite debate, it was violent.
And the church in Ninove gets caught in the middle.
Caught in the middle is putting it mildly. Dana's sources are really specific here. The church wasn't just damaged or looted, it was, quote, completely destroyed.
You mean leveled?
Down to the foundations.
Huh?
A crater. The spiritual heart of the community was just gone. The source says, not restoration, not fixing, total destruction.
Wow. It's hard to imagine. I mean, today, if a building comes down, something else goes up pretty fast.
And that was the tragedy. Didn't go back up. Dana calls it the years of stagnation. There were plans, sure, but no money, no stability. So for generations, the people of Ninove lived next to a ruin.
What does that do to a city's psyche? To walk past the rubble of your most important building every single day?
It's a daily humiliation, a constant visual reminder of defeat. It says, we are broken. It weighs on the collective memory, which you remember is one of Dana's pillars.
So the rebuild isn't just a construction project, it's civic therapy.
It's an exorcism of that shame. And this is where our main character comes in, Abbot Van der Haeghen.
Sounds like a guy who gets things done.
He was. It's the early 18th century. Things are more stable. And he decides, enough. We're rebuilding. But, and this is the key moment, he decides they are not just going to put the old church back.
He doesn't want a copy.
No, he wants something new. He chooses the Baroque style.
Okay, Baroque. My mind immediately goes to fancy, gold leaf, angels, drama, maybe a little over the top.
You're not wrong, but we have to understand why he chose it. It wasn't just about fashion, it was a strategy. This is the aha moment from the source.
Go on.
Well, think about the context. The Catholic Church had been battered by the Protestant Reformation. The Protestants were all about simplicity, austerity, plain white walls.
So if the Catholics built a simple church, it would look like they were agreeing with them.
Exactly. It would look like a retreat, an admission of weakness. So the church did the opposite. They doubled down.
Go on simple, we'll give you spectacle.
It's a language of power in a time of weakness. That's the phrase from the source. I just love it.
A language of power in a time of weakness.
It's a magnificent bluff. The message was, we are here, we are organized, we are strong, even if behind the scenes they were struggling.
It's like a company that's failing, so they throw this huge, lavish product launch.
That is a perfect analogy. The Abbey Church was a PR campaign in stone, built to convince everyone that the church was back.
So how does this convincing actually work? Dana breaks down the architecture as a series of psychological triggers. She uses this phrase, body before mind.
Right. This is central to Baroque design. The idea that your body physically reacts to a space before your brain can even process it.
You feel it before you think it.
Viscerally, yes.
Yeah.
So let's do the walkthrough. We're in 18th century Ninove. We approach the new church. What do we see?
Okay.
First, just the scale. Dana mentions these broad stairs, this monumental facade. You have to physically crane your neck to look up.
So right away, I feel small.
You feel small, the building feels permanent, and high up on the facade, there are these statues looking down at you. It's that "we are not broken" message shouted from the rooftops.
Okay, so I'm intimidated. Now I walk through the doors.
And everything changes. You go from the outside world into this controlled theater. Dana points out that as soon as you enter, your gaze automatically rises.
How do they make you do that?
Light. The architects were masters of light. They'd place windows high up, sometimes hidden, so these shafts of light would just cut through the space. The lower levels are dimmer, so your eye is naturally drawn upward.
Towards the heavens.
Literally.
Yeah.
It creates this sense of awe. For a second, you forget the muddy streets outside, you forget the ruins that used to be there. You're just suspended.
And that's the body before mind. My brain hasn't even processed that's a column or that's an arch yet.
No, your body is just reacting to the light in the space. It's theatrical. It's meant to bypass your critical thinking and go straight for the emotion.
But it wasn't just sight, right? Dana brings up sound.
Yes. The sounds was the awe to the visual shock. I mean, remember, in the 18th century, the loudest thing most people ever heard was probably thunder.
And then they installed the Forceville organ.
The Forceville organ, built around 1728. This wasn't just an instrument. It was a technological marvel, one of the most expensive and complex in the entire region.
Decorated with angels and Saint Cecilia, the patron saint of music.
To put it all together, you walk in, the light pulls your eyes up, you feel tiny, and then the organist hits a chord. That sound just, it fills the space, it vibrates in your chest.
It's total immersion.
Complete sensory immersion. The source says the church was meant to be seen, heard, and felt. You couldn't ignore it. It demanded your attention.
You know, there's a detail Dana includes that, for me, really saves this from just being a story about a powerful institution. She talks about who actually built it.
This is so important for her city of art idea.
Yeah.
Because if this was just some design sent from Rome with a bunch of foreign workers, it would feel imposed, like an alien structure.
But it wasn't.
No. The artists, the sculptors, the wood carvers, they were locals. They were Flemish. These were the hands of the community itself.
So when Dana talks about the human and memory pillars, this is it. The people of Ninove were literally carving their own comeback story.
Yes, a local artisan carving a confessional wasn't just doing a job, he was erasing the memory of the ruins. He was participating in the resurrection of his own city's pride.
That completely changes the feeling for me. It's
Yeah.
less about domination and more about creation.
It's resilience. And that's where Dana's concept really comes alive. It's not just the art, it's the human will behind the art, the refusal to live in a graveyard.
So bringing it all together, what does this mean for us now? Dana has this synthesis at the end that I found really welcoming.
She does. She makes it clear you don't need to be Catholic to get this place. You don't need to be an art historian.
Thank goodness, because I would fail that test.
Most of us would. But she says the church just asks you to stop for a moment and feel how persistence was part of Ninove's identity.
Persistence, that's the word.
It's a monument to refusing to disappear. And that's a universal feeling. We all understand being knocked down. We all understand wanting to stand back up and say, I am still here.
And to say it with style, with light and gold and enormous organ music.
Exactly. Not just to survive, but to announce your existence loudly. That's the language of power.
It really proves her whole point. If you just went in there on a checklist tour, you'd say, nice church, take a picture and leave.
You'd miss the whole story. You'd miss the desperation that fueled all that beauty. You'd see the stone, but you'd miss the memory.
It makes me want to look at my own city differently.
As it should. And that leads us to a final thought for you to take with you.
Okay, lay it on us.
We've been talking about 18th century Belgium, but look out your window right now. Look at the skyline of your own city.
Okay, I see a glass bank tower, some condos, an old library.
We think of those as just functional buildings. But what if you applied Dana's lens? What if you looked at that architecture not as steel and glass, but as a language of power or a statement of resilience? What stories are they telling?
That's a great question. What is that giant glass skyscraper trying to convince me of?
Is it transparency? Is it dominance? What about a brutalist government building, all that raw concrete? Is it saying we are efficient, or is it saying we are immovable?
Or when an old factory gets turned into luxury lofts? That's a statement about memory, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's an argument. It's saying we value the aesthetic of the past, but only if it's cleaned up for the present. Every building is trying to sell you a version of reality.
Every building is an argument. I love that. The city isn't a backdrop, it's a debate.
A very loud one. And once you start hearing those arguments, you can never walk through a city the same way again.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to leave it. I want to thank Dana virtually for these insights.
Absolutely. It's a great reminder to slow down. Don't just look, feel.
And to you, listening. Next time you see a building that makes you look twice, ask yourself, what are you trying to convince me of? You might be surprised by the answer. Thanks for diving in with us.
Keep learning.